Hello from Myrtle Beach. We have been getting a ton of questions about the wildfires in the area here near Myrtle Beach. So we're going to talk about that today and try to answer all of the questions we've been getting here in one concise video. Hi, I'm Carmen. If you're new here, we cover everything Myrtle Beach and the surrounding area. And if you're a return viewer, welcome back. We are so glad to have you with us. So first of all, we are crossing 501 right now. 501 is one direction you can go to get to Carolina Forest. I'm also going to show you another place you can go to get to Carolina Forest. So Carolina Forest is in that direction, and the beach is in this direction. So we keep getting questions about how close is Carolina Forest, which is the area that the fires are close to and in. How close is that to Myrtle Beach? As the crow flies, it's pretty close, but from a driving perspective, it's not that close to the beach. There are a lot of densely packed neighborhoods in that area, but so far, no structures as of the time of this recording have been reported damaged, meaning houses or other buildings at the time of this recording have not been reported to be damaged, nor have there been any injuries reported that we have heard about. So the fire currently, as of the time of this recording, is over 2,000 acres big, but they are calling it contained. That's a word they use to describe it when they think they have it to a point where it hopefully will not spread, like there's no concern about spreading. Also, they have rescinded the evacuation. So there's Waves Water Park, just to give you a frame of reference. So again, Carolina Forest is over in that direction. And also we're about to pass Broadway at the beach. I'll show you that when we get to it. So if you're wondering why we're not going to drive by the fire, it's because the roads are closed to the public for safety reasons. Also, I don't want my car full of smoke. Today, the wind is coming from the east, which is why we're even able to go out and film this today. Yesterday, there was way too much smoke. There's a bunch of air advisories. And like I said, I don't want my car full of smoke. Yesterday, just outside our house, smoke was everywhere. And I'm not complaining. I'm so grateful we were not near the fire. And also, I'd like to thank all of you for your well wishes. We are plenty far from the fire. It would have to really spread horribly to get anywhere close to where we live. We're on this side, the east side of the Intercoastal Waterway, and the fire is on the west side of the Intercoastal Way. So it would have to hop the Intercoastal. I'm not saying it can't do that. Sure, sparks can fly, but it would be pretty unlikely. The downside is, like, right now the wind is not too bad, and that's really helping their efforts in fighting the fire. And you can see Broadway coming up. You can see the Ferris wheel right there. But the downside is later today they're predicting 20-mile-per-hour winds, and tomorrow we are supposed to get severe weather with thunderstorms. You would think that would help, but they said the rain they don't think will be significant enough to make a lot of difference. And also they're predicting up to 50-mile-per-hour winds with those thunderstorms, which, as we know, wind is really bad when it comes to fire. And so we are still going to continue. Our hearts go out to the people in that area. We're still thinking about them and hoping for the best. Hopefully this containment they've done has done its job. If you follow us on Instagram, a few days ago we put up some videos of the planes that were dumping the water on the fires. You could actually see them from Broadway at the beach, which is what we're passing right now. That's Broadway at the beach. You could see the planes circling around. I would say the fact we're not seeing the planes today is a good sign, meaning I think they've got it contained enough that they're not having to use the planes today. So that's definitely a good sign. The reason we're continuing to drive, this is 17 bypass if you're curious, and the reason we are continuing to drive this direction, I'm going to show you the other way that you can get to the Carolina Forest area. So we get a lot of questions about what is Carolina Forest, what is it compared to Myrtle Beach? To the best of my knowledge, Carolina Forest is not in the city limits of Myrtle Beach. However, if you were to move to Carolina Forest, your address would be a Myrtle Beach address. And they've actually had talks about incorporating and becoming their own city because there's so many people over there. I don't know where that's at this point. It is a pretty nice residential area, but like I said, it is further from the beach, so it's personal preference. You are closer to Conway. You're in that direction, slightly closer to Conway. I wouldn't say you're super close, but you're slightly closer to Conway, slightly further from the beach. I would say overall the housing prices per square foot are slightly less expensive in Carolina Forest than they would be in Myrtle Beach on the east side. of the intercoastal, and also when you get to the east side of 17 bypass that we're on now, the property value gets even more expensive. And then when you get east of Kings Highway or 17 business, the property value goes up even more, and so does your hurricane coverage on your insurance though, so that's something to keep in mind. So we get a lot of questions about that, like kind of wondering where Carolina Forest is. And so this is the exit I wanted to get to show you the other way to get to Carolina Forest. And this is where I would normally get off and take you, but this would go onto International Drive, and that is the road that is closed due to the wildfires. So like I mentioned, at this time, they are still wildfires. They are not directly, I can't say they're not affecting people. They are not burning buildings down, but they are absolutely affecting people. Yesterday, we were nowhere near the fires, and yesterday our HVAC system was bringing that smoke smell into the house. So you can only imagine these people who had actual fires within feet of their houses. They have to have some smoke damage, I would think, on the inside of their house, even though their houses didn't catch on fire. So I'm absolutely sure they're affected, and our hearts go out to them. It's definitely a situation nobody wants. We've also got questions of, is this common here? I'd say yes and no. I wouldn't say it's super common, but like if you don't know, we live here locally, but we came from an area in North Carolina where you never heard of any fires. And so here I would say it is more frequent. So here's that crossover with, it's going to say Grissom up here, but here's that crossover that will get you both to Highway 31. And so I want to mention that, Highway 31, and also would get you to International Drive. So here it is right here, that truck's going across up there. And so this is the sort of general direction to get on 31 also, which, by the way, just a tip from us to you, if you're going from north to south or south to north and you're going a long way, 31 is a great way to bypass a lot of traffic. Just a little tip there. But in any case, in 2009, there was a pretty bad fire here, and it was around Highway 31. So again, that same general, not the same exact area, but in the same ballpark. And I believe that destroyed like 76 homes, something like that. Don't quote me exactly, but that was a bad fire. So we take precautions. Like, for example, we don't have any pine straw around our house. We use rocks for our flower beds instead of pine straw. That's one thing you can do. Just don't have a lot of brush in your yard. So if you're thinking of moving here, you definitely want to kind of keep those things in mind. But of course, that can't do anything to stop a wildfire, which is how this started. This was a wildfire, just really dry. And we've also gotten the question, is this a common time of the year? No, I would not say it's a common time of the year. It usually happens in the summer when there's a drought. However, we are in drought conditions, even though it's really still, I think it's technically still winter and like sort of right at the very beginning of spring. We've just had horribly dry conditions, and then high winds on top of it. It's just sort of made that perfect storm of, everything just right for a fire. Because the day before the fire started, they actually had a warning saying, don't burn anything. It's perfect fire conditions. So, it's definitely something that can happen here. But would I say it's super common? I wouldn't say it's super common, because 2009 to 2025, that's a pretty big gap. And yes, there's been fires in between, but nothing of this scale. We're a little bit closer to Carolina Forest, and there is a sign letting you know that International Drive is still closed. And I'm actually starting to smell just a tiny, tiny bit of the smoke smell. And we actually have our car on the sort of recycle the inside air. So we don't want to go too much further since the road's closed ahead. There it is, actually, there's the road closure. So we're gonna have to turn around right here, but you get the idea. If you'd like to learn more about Myrtle Beach and the surrounding area, be sure to click on the video on your screen right now. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.